Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Underground Cave. I am Geltip, and this is Mini Painting with Geltip. Now, this is not a tutorial stream, but today is Thursday, which means that we will be doing our first paint along. That's right, the Dragonborn fighter that you see right there is the one that we're going to start with for February, and we're just going to paint along. So if you haven't joined the Discord yet, join my Discord. In the Thursday night paint alongs, you will find the Dragonborn fighter, and you will find the palette that we will be using on today's stream. Plus some alternate paints that kind of match up with what I'm using. So I give you the basic color, I give you what I'm using, and then I give you some alternates so that you can follow through. So hopefully, if you've joined the Discord, you'll have all of those paints for you. So that's what we're going to be doing today. There's not many announcements today because I just want to get into this. We're going to spend 2 hours working on the Dragonborn fighter, and you'll start doing some techniques along with me. Now, if you want to paint your miniature without watching or without doing stuff and wait until the full video is unleashed onto Twitch, you may do so. But it'll be just like a regular painting stream, except for I'm not doing something. Well, I am doing something I want, but I'm giving you a heads up. So if you have the miniatures and you have the paints, you can paint along with me. So that's the nature of what these streams I wanted to do when I started, and 3 years later, we are doing that. So that takes care of all the announcements. So go grab your favorite beverage and grab your palette of paints and let's just paint. Right? Get that there. All right. Not much different. We're going to get the eyes going here. And so if you were in the Discord and here on Tuesday, you know that I primed this guy with a gray primer, a little dark gray primer going on. There might be some spots that could have gotten missed that you would see as a bright gray or the bones. But let's just run through really quick on what the palette is for this gentleman. First up is a dark green. So we're using Monument Hobbies black green as my dark. However, if you have a dark green, you can do so. So I went more on like the yellowy, the warmer green, than on the teal side for a cooler green. So if you start with a warm green base, then you kind of want to stay with the warm green concept. So that's the dark green that we're doing. We're also going to do a medium green. My Monument Hobbies green is a great green to start off with. It's really going to kind of seal the deal as far as getting into the higher spots. We're going to get into some yellow, bright yellow green. This is my yellow green. Now, if you don't have yellow green, you can get a yellow. I have a yellow right here. This one is Candlelight Yellow from Reaper 9408. You can use any yellow that you wish. And the thing about Monument Hobbies is that if it says yellow green, it means that it's, well, I'm not sure if the bright means that there's white in it, but you can get yellow and green together, mix it 1-to-1, and get yourself a yellow green. So if you don't have yellow green, don't worry about it. If you have this nice yellow color, we can mix those two together and still make yellow green. So that's my yellow green for the palette. And to finish off the skin, we're going to use some clear green. We're going to kind of glaze over some clear green on top of our skin. Now we might have to make it just a tad bit lighter in the tone. So how do we do that? Well, we could either add some white. I'm using Pro Bold Titanium White from Monument Hobbies. Not all of these paints are Monument Hobbies, just happens to be in front of me. And then, or you can use an ivory. Ivory is it's got some yellow in there. If you add yellow to your white, you can get this ivory here. So those two colors, they'll be used interchangeably depending on the use that we want. Black, this is Monument Hobbies Coal Black. There are solid blacks and pure blacks from Reaper, Abaddon Black from Citadel. They're all in there. We're using Citadel Evil Sun Scarlet for our red today. And we're using Citadel Gother Brown for our brown today. So you can use, I think I put on there Light Umber from Monument Hobbies if you have Monument Hobbies. I have no Army Painter today. I have no Scale 75 today. I have no Vallejo today. So if you have those colors, you can feel free to use those and substitute those colors. We'll be doing a nice dark steel here. This is kind of like a black steel. I think Iron Warriors from Citadel is kind of a dark steel. And then we're gonna lighten that up with a bright steel. These are dark star molten metals, steel and bright steel. So you just need a dark silver and a light silver. And I know that Monument Hobbies makes a dark silver and a silver. So I tried to put the numbers in. So for example, the white. If you're using Reaper, 09478 is on the Discord. That's a solid white. I can't remember what the pure white was, but you can use that stuff as well. So that's the color palette that we're going to be using on our Dragonborn today. And where I'm going to go with him is it's going to be a green Dragonborn since I have all of the green tones. We're going to give him some nice dark silver metal armor. We're going to trim it out with some red. And then we're going to take it from there. Get some brown in for certain straps and certain buckles. And then keep going along with that. So, if there's no questions, if everybody's ready to go, let's get some paint on our palette. So either you're going to be using it straight out of the pot, or you're going to be using a wet palette. I happen to like a wet palette only for the fact that I can start mixing colors if I need colors. So if you don't have a yellow green and you want to mix yellow and green, you should have sort of a wet palette to do that. And so for these paint alongs, I'm going to start. I'm not going to do my usual random spot. I'm just going to kind of figure out where these go. So there's where my dark green is. I'm going to try to do some sort of structure here. So we're going to put our medium green there. That way I can mix them easier if I need to. Let me get these out of the way. Hopefully you can see this on the thing. And I'm also trying to be conscious. Whoops, that's going to be need to be mixed a bit. So let's mix that up. So I'm trying to be conscious that I'm giving myself enough space in case I have to mix stuff. Again, this is there we go. That's what we want looking for. So I'm not exactly sure what the alternate colors are. So if you do know it, you can either put it in the Discord, or you can comment in the Discord section, or you can let us know on here. Unless you're watching this video after the fact, then you can't let anybody know. I'm not going to do the clear paint right now because I'm not going to worry about that. But what I am going to do is get some color from the Citadel pots on here. So I'm going to wet my brush here. Take him out of the way. I'm going to get the red up on top, right up here. Hopefully that'll stay out of the way and it will be nice and thin. Now this is an air paint, so I don't need to put it on the wet palette. I just want it there. And then we'll wash that brush off. And we're going to do the same thing with the Gother Brown. We're going to get that out of the way. We'll mix this up a little bit. Again, it's just a brown color that I chose. It's got a little coolness to it to combat all the warmth of the red, to combat all the warmth of the green that we have. So we kind of want that. So I'm just kind of getting a glob on there, twisting it around the wet palette. Eventually I'll have to put that stuff in dropper bottles so I get a nice little dropper pot with it, or a little drop with it. So let's put these off to the side. I'm not going to get rid of these paints only because I may need more of it later down the line. We'll see. My black and white, which will be enhancers, I'm going to put those in the middle. So there's that. That's my black. Here's my white. Didn't open that far enough, but that's okay. And my ivory. Now I'm going to put my ivory over here, just in case I might need it to brighten stuff up. Okay. Takes care of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need the dark steel. And last but not least, we need the bright steel. Let's mix this bright steel up, just because it should be mixed. Okay. There we go. All right. We'll be using a 2-round from Game Envy. I'm sure I have some other 2-rounds in here. I didn't get a chance to clean out my brushes that I wanted to. I'm going to try a 2 Reaper. And do the 3-round. I'm gonna need a smaller brush just to get into some areas. So what I'll do is I'll change this out to a smaller brush. All right. Here's my Reaper 1. All right, so we're going to use some round ones. We're going to use a smaller liner brush for some things. The liner brush is going to be mainly used to line out the armor when we do that. So looking at this miniature, I need a place to start. So I'm and I'll use my little small brush to point stuff out. We're going to do a lot of the skin green tone and the armor a dark steel color. Now, there are multiple ways you can do. So yeah, I could start with the dark silver first because it's inside, but it's on the outside. He's wearing the metal on the outside. So there is a good chance that I want to try to start with the green skin and then work my way outward. So when I mean work my way outward, I mean start with whatever's farther in on the miniature, and then if armor is over a shirt or over skin, that would be on the outer part of the miniature. The other thing you could do is get into these little recesses here first, so that when you're painting out here, you don't have to worry about getting back in there and then hitting something on the outside. So I think what we're going to do today is just get the base colors on here and see if we can't get any kind of skin tone working on. It looks like he's got some pants. He's got some metallic scales back here. Looks like he's got some skin and scales showing out here and on his feet. So I think what I want to do is start with the skin tone. So we're going to get that dark green black, or the dark green color, which is my green black. Oops. So I should probably also say before we begin, I have 2 things of water. I've got this large water here that I've been washing things out. I also have this little guy here. That's going to be for any white that I want to paint on the miniature. So you want something clean for like white paint. You don't want to mix white paint into what's already dirty because then it doesn't come clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, let's grab the Reaper 1 and see if we can't try to paint with that. So get a paper towel. Rinse this off. And I'll just show you what I'm doing. So here's my paper towel. I'm just kind of going to rinse it off here, or I kind of drag it on my hand. You don't swirl it, you drag it. All right. And so now let's grab some of this dark green. And we're just going to paint everything that's a scale, a green scale. So his hands, his feet, his face, just get it nice dark green. Now he is wearing a metal helmet, so you want to try to get into and around that metal helmet so you can see it. And you could do all kinds of nifty things here, but I think what we want to do here is make sure that we're getting a lot of stuff on the green side. Now I don't have to do the inside of the mouth green, but I think it's going to sell the red. And when we do that, so that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to kind of do the neck piece. We're just doing all of the scales green. If you happen to get any on the armor, there you go. I did it for you. So if you get any on the armor, that's fine. Because remember, we're gonna get a dark silver on there. And since all these colors are dark enough, they won't really show. What you don't want to do is get light on a dark or dark on a light if you can help it. But right now, this is all base colors. And since we're going to paint a dark color over this, the dark silver is going to be over this green. I think we're going to be okay. And I'm not using a very sharp pointed brush. I'm just trying to get paint onto the miniature, spread it around, get a nice even coat. If you're working out of the pot, you might need to thin out the paint. But a lot of times we can always come back and touch things up. We just have to use a sharper point brush. I think I've lost the point on my Reaper brush, or I have to wash it and clean it. One of those two. Okay. So I'm just looking. It looks like I painted over some of the metal piece here by accident. So let's see, maybe I can bring this down just a little bit. All right, so let's get some hands and feet done. Oh, you know what we need? We need some music, don't we? I was wondering what was missing here. We got right into the painting and we didn't put any music on. We need some painting music. Now, maybe you have me muted and you're just watching and following along with me. Or if you need some music, well, we'll get some music on. So let us do that. And I don't want to blow out the eardrums that you might have, so let's bring this back down a bit. And I'm thinking, I know this is a Bob Ross thing, but I'm thinking we go a little rock tonight. So let's see if we can get some rock going. Yacht rock. Let's see. Metal, punk, pop, rock. Here we go. Nice green Dragonborn. You don't see green Dragonborns. Everybody plays like the red ones and blue ones. Whoops. So it's always nice to have a green. Now these paint-alongs that I'm doing, these are mostly one-off miniatures. So if you know somebody that wants to play green Dragonborn in your D&D campaign, then you have one painted for them. Sometimes it's nice to play with different colors. Maybe you don't paint green a lot and you want to try. Tieflings and Dragonborns are very good for doing colored stuff. Now he doesn't have armor on his arms or his hands. I mean, you could give him gloves, but we're gonna give him some skin scales here. You could give him armor if you want to give him armor. I'm gonna have to get a new brush because, well, I'm not gonna get a new brush right yet. I'm still trying to cover pieces on here that I can get to. This is the first color that goes on the miniature. So see, I'm just dipping in and then I'm just applying as much paint as I can, and then eventually I can spread it around to get more areas, get that nice even coat. You don't want thick paint getting rid of detail work on you. So you'll see me, I'll just kind of spread it around a bit. Not really being careful at the moment. I don't need to be careful right at the moment. Of course, you do want to be sort of careful when you're hitting certain areas because it makes it harder to paint down the road. Alright, so I think I want to get right in here. And he's got some shoulder metal that we'll worry about after. Hopefully you can see everything that I'm doing. I tried to choose a miniature that was kind of camera friendly. Not every miniature will be camera friendly, and you have to put it in such a weird way to get at certain spots. But if you notice, I'm turning the miniature instead of trying to contort my brush to get into certain areas. You want to be able to brush nicely, and for me that's brushing straight down and side to side. And so the miniature I turn around just so I don't have to worry about, you know, like I don't have to come this way and try to paint this way. So all I'm doing is rotating the miniature and giving that quick brush down. Alright, let's see what we got here. Everything else looks like it might be covered up. I think these are scales that I have to do. These could be metal scales or they could be scales from him. We'll make it scales from him. It kind of breaks up a little of the monotony. But there's nothing saying that you can't paint them as part of his armor. And maybe it is part of his armor. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. The reason I like these miniatures is because it offers so much flexibility and creativity. You want metallic wings, you choose metallic wings, and or shoulder scales, and if you want to make them part of him, you can make them part of him. I mean, some of them are clear cut what they are, and others are kind of left to the user's imagination. Let's see, anything else here I need to worry about? Alright. So we got some green on there. Hey, Joanne 1760, how you doing? I am. How are you going? I'm going great. Thanks for stopping in. We're doing a little paint along. I don't know who's watching, who's painting along. I don't expect anybody to be chatting because everybody's hard at work painting. But we're gonna paint this guy together. Um, so yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing today. How are you doing? Let's see. Can I do this one? This is my Reaper 2. And I don't think my Reaper 2 is going to be... See how it gives me a nice sharp point? I don't know if you can see the sharp point on there. But I can paint some stuff here. Now I have to think about stuff because this armor here is different than the armor in the front. The front is plate and it looks like the back is scale. So the question is, do I do the scale or if I do everything in one color? That is the issue here. And I could do red, but I don't want it to go too red on me. So I think we're gonna have to do something else. So let's get the dark silver on. I think we're just gonna do all of it. You know, let's make it simple on ourselves. Let's do all of it in a dark metallic. So we're gonna take this dark silver and we're just going to start painting all of the metal pieces here. So we're just going to kind of get around. This is where you want to try to be a little more careful. That's why I changed the brush to have more of a point, because you certainly don't want to get that dark on the green skin, but you can cover up any of the green that you put onto the armor. So that's what we're doing now. Again, this is the Dark Star steel. This is a nice blackened steel. If you're at home and you're looking for a silver from Citadel, I think it's Iron Warriors, or I think it's Iron Warriors that you want. There's two irons, I thought, but I think Iron Warriors is the one that you're looking for. If you're using Monument Hobbies, I think it's Dark Silver. I'm just going to do all of this armor pieces, this nice silvery color, because I will start breaking some of it up with the red on the plate, so it won't all look silver. So this is a great exercise in how to slow yourself down. Be careful and only use the tip of the brush to get into all those areas that kind of come close to where you don't want to paint. And I always try to use the tip of the brush early on so that I can bring all this stuff down, spread it away from the green skin. Again, I'll torque the miniature and I will do it all over again. If you're not painting with anything, go grab some more paint into the brush and just nice and slowly add it in. And as you can see, that green starts to go away because this is a little too dark for the green. So this is what we're going to be doing for a while. We're going to be painting this armor. So paint away. Hey, Wampa Dan, how's it going, my friend? Hopefully you're painting along with me. Wampa Dan is not a miniature painter. He's a digital artist, so hopefully he's digital arting while I am painting. Just gonna paint some of this around the skin. Okay. And again, we're just kind of make sure you get some paint on that brush so that you can start painting. You don't want to start forcing things and jamming your brush in. It's a very light touch. You can always spread excess paint around so that you thin out and get a nice even coat. You can also go very light with the paint and apply more coats. And I don't know exactly what is being shown on screen because I have to contort the miniature so I can reach under the shield. So now he's got some shoulder pads. He's got some plate shoulders down here, so I'm going to do those. Making sure I don't get onto the skin. Or these scales. So if you think you're going to mess up, you have to slow down and you have to just use that tip. The tip will eventually get the paint on there. Whoops, I'm not showing anything. Sorry about that. My camera may have not adjusted properly. Let's see. No, I still have my dots. No arting yet, but I'm finally itching to do it. Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm glad that you're going to get back into it. I think we all need to get back into it. Life has been stressful enough. Everybody needs that meditative hobby. I don't know how meditative it is for some, but all right. So he's got some knee pads. We'll do some metal work on the knee pads. So it looks like there's some metal over here. And up on top. Like so. Again, we're just base coating. We're just base coloring. We haven't really done anything with the skin tone. The skin won't be that dark, but I'm trying to get the metallic out of the way. So but I'm not going to do anything with the metallic until I'm done doing other stuff, because in case I have to go back over things, I can do it. Alright, and do the other knee. I think that's up here. So I'm just using the tip of the brush to kind of draw this line on the edge, and then I pull it away, going down. So if you watch miniature painters turn their miniature to a way that they can reach, that's what they're doing. They're turning it so that they always can either go down like this, or they can hit the edge and the side like this. Some might actually contort their bodies to get at a certain area without rotating the miniature. That's not for me. I cannot do that. Looks like there's a wing out here. Looks like there's a wing out here. Again, I'm getting some on the pants, but that's alright because we're going to paint over the pants. If I'm painting over primer, that's okay. If you're painting over stuff you've painted already, that's not okay. That means you have to slow down and try to be a little bit neater. That's the trick. Or you need to grab a brush that's going to make it in. So I'm going to use this smaller brush because I want to get the face armor on. So this, I need to be very slow, and I need to be patient. So I'm just going to kind of hit here. I could use the tip of the brush, of the bigger brush, but I'm afraid that I'm going to hit something else on the miniature. So I'm using this thinner brush so that it kind of stays away from different parts of the miniature. But the process is the same. I'm going to try to make this line. I'm going to try to keep painting downward. So what I'll do is I'll bring the miniature to the foreground like this, and I will just kind of paint away from the skin like so, and then I will turn it this way so that I can make that little edge of the armor right there. Turn it back around so we can get to the other side right here. And you can see I keep going back to my well because the smaller the brush, the less paint stays on the brush. So I want to keep sure that everything is kind of moist and I'm not forcing dry paint into places, because then it'll look like a mess. And you don't want to make it look like a mess. You want it to look like a nice miniature. Alright, so we have some armor on him, and we're just going to take a quick peek and see if there's any place that I need. So these are nice, these are straps, so I'll probably wait to do that. I'm not sure what to do with the pants yet, so we'll work on those. But I got some metal here, so you can start to see I forgot to do that piece. So we'll go back to my brush. Again, you're only using the tip right there. That's as much as you're using, and you're just gonna paint. I'm just gonna go side to side under the belt. And notice that I could sit here and paint like this all the time and just rotate the miniature. I'm not that coordinated to turn the miniature and just keep wiping down, but if you're a piano player, you might be able to do that. If you're ambidextrous, you might be able to do that. I'm gonna do right in here metal, because he has a little piece hanging down and it looks like it goes to the metal, so we're gonna do that. And then we'll figure out whatever else. So we're not really worried about the details. I'm not going to go ahead and start painting details. I want to just get the main colors on him. So silver is one of the main colors. I'm going to go ahead and just do the shield and the sword with this dark color. Again, just throwing a bunch of paint on there. When you use a bigger brush and you only use the tip, all that water from the rest of the bristles kind of come out, and you can just keep painting for a while. And we're going to do the same thing on inside, except that I don't know how much I can show of this because of the nature of this miniature, but we're going to try. So like I said, I'm trying to keep everything to a 10 color palette. So I'm going to try to use all the colors on the palette and not introduce any other ones. I could introduce the yellow since some people may be using yellow, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I might just do some ivory and brown for the pants. Alright, let's see. Just be careful of that fist and that arm because it can easily paint silver on there. Okay, so that takes care of that part of it. And we'll do this blade here. Now, I was going to kind of wait on the blade and see if I wanted to do something different, but I think right now, for this piece here, and because it's February and I don't have that many Thursdays in February, if we want to get this piece done, I think what we need to do is do things basic. So that's what we'll do. We might introduce one other color in here. I don't know. I might keep it brown at the hilt, but we'll see. Alright. So as far as I know, the pants are probably going to be more on the lighter side to get that contrast to the darkness, so we're going to wait on that. But I think what we've done at this point is with all that metal, we've let the green dry. So the next piece to this is we're going to let the silver dry and we're going to go to our green. So I'm going to use, I don't want a dry brush. I want to kind of keep things a little controlled. So I'm not going to dry brush, but with this dark skin tone, really I just want to keep like under the neck, under the jaw here, I want to keep that dark. Anything that I can see, if you're looking at it like this, anything that you can see, you can go ahead with a nice bright green and paint that on. We could have painted it on the gray, but I think it's going to look better with the dark green because you can leave that dark green in the recesses. So we're going to take our small brush here because we have small areas. I could take the one and use the tip, but I don't think my tip is good on the one right now. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start painting the entire top of this hand with this green. And I'm going to leave some of the fingers, you know, separated so that it looks like he has fingers. Do the same thing. I'm going to get some of these fingers down. Again, all I'm doing is just painting downward. Just like this. Oops. That's an indication that I painted too fast. So what I'm going to do is slow myself down. And I'm going to do these fingers right here. These knuckles. I want to keep some of that dark green in there to show the separation of fingers. Okay. Gonna do the same thing on the feet. He has like little scales here. He has little scales here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of jag my way down the front of his foot, and I'm not going to do his toenails or his claws or his talons. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make this as uneven as possible because he's got some scales down there, and if you just kind of do things a little uneven, it'll make it seem like you painted scales. But you really didn't. All you did was magically, and then we'll do the side of the foot here. Same way, except it's a little bit more broader of a stroke because I have a flatter surface. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, just using this small brush because I don't have large areas here. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing on the other foot. Again, I'm not exactly sure what the camera's picking up. Hopefully it's picking up his toes, but maybe not. And then once you get to the edge of the foot, you can just give it some broad strokes like this. Don't worry about touching the base. You can touch the base all day long. We're going to do that afterward. So here, look. Look at. See? I touched the base, so you don't have to worry. So this is all I'm going to do is just keep adding some of this green all the way around. So feel free to keep doing that, and then I'll let you know when we're on to the next step. So he has some scales here. I'm going to try to paint on top of each scale. You can do it the same way we did the toes if you want. This one is a little bit more straightforward because there is a line, and you want to make sure that you keep that dark line between the scales. If you do that, then it'll look different than some random skin scales. The idea here is just to get green on here. You're not trying to highlight anything. You're not trying to... This is what I want my green skin tone to be. It's not the dark green, because the dark green, all that's doing is being my recess points. So like, I mean, if you really want to, I could sit here and I could do this all day. You know, I could paint on those individual skins, those scales, but if you can actually stipple if you want. And that's just creating these little dots here. And you can keep some of that dark green in there. And it'll make it look really rough and jagged, but it'll eventually look like scales. I don't like doing it for his hands though. His hands I like to have smooth. This is what you call the contrast in texture. Making something look rough versus smooth. His hands are smooth, maybe his arms are rough. his little nose here. What this is going to do is it's going to separate the dark silver so you can see the green dragon. And the dark green is actually going to darken this lighter green down a bit. So he does have nostrils. Just try to grab the nostrils if you can. I think I covered up one of the nostrils. I'm going to do the bottom of the jaw right here. And I'll do the bottom of the jaw, the other side. Do around his eyes. Just be very controlled. Dot around the eyes if you have to. Don't get any on that silver. If you get any on the inside of the eye, that's fine, because we're not working on the eyes yet. And then we'll start. Now here, on the top of his neck, he's got some scales. So here, you can actually just paint on the scales with your... And there's a lot of ways you can do it. I can just take the brush and dab it on the scale. Like so. See, I can just dab it. I'm not painting anything. I'm just kind of using the 45-degree angle and just touching, going straight down. Or if you think that you're skilled enough, you can go ahead and start painting each individual scale with a stroke. I tend to do both. So a long scale I'll dab, I'll stroke, and a short scale I'll just dab, just to kind of get some color on there and some paint. Let's see, missing a scale there, missing a scale there. Looks like there's some scales here I could be doing. Something that looks like that. And it's important to know the tool of dabbing and stippling, because when we do our light colors, that's kind of where we go with it. I want to make sure that you guys are with me on this. So I'm doing these little wings here, but I'm also going to do inside. So it's like I'm painting all of them. I'm going to go in there with a lighter, in between these veins with a lighter color. So it's up to you how you want to work on these fins. I'm trying to keep the darkness as much as I can in there. So I'm just kind of hitting the veins first and then kind of streaking. So I'll do these veins like this. And if I get on the fins, I'm not really too worried, because I want those to have a different feel. You might find some other scales too when you're doing that. But as you can start to see, that dark green is what's really selling the scale work and some of the other stuff. It's giving it its like 3D effect. All right. And so that's what we're going to be doing from here on out. So we'll see you momentarily. Just kind of, if I see anything that you might need to know, I'll let you know. I'm just doing these veins here. Again, not really worried about if I get some on in between them, because I'm going to do something else with those. Got to have a vision for the miniature. Once you have a vision, and sometimes I make it up as I go, but because this is a paint along, I kind of want to know where I'm going so I can let you know where I'm going. And let's see. We'll stipple some scales around here. Now, if you want, you don't have to go underneath. Like, I don't have to do anything under here if it's not going to get seen, right? Because this is the way the miniature looks. So if you want to keep that hand in the darkness, you can do it. I would just say anything on the smoother side, you might want to paint, like this fist here, the edge of this fist, and some of his fingers. And it looks like this muscle here is behind a strap. This muscle here might need a little bit. Let's see. I'm gonna stipple. I'm just gonna do a little stippling around here on his chest. To indicate scales. I could do a different color for the chest. I could do that ivory, which might look kind of cool, but we'll keep them nice and green for now. And you're just trying to find spots for skin now. There's not much else you can really do. So if you want to try to make some scales, you can do so. All this stippling is just going to create a little bit of texture, not much. Because he's not gonna have smooth skin. He's not a human, right? He's a reptile. Oh, I never did the back of the feet. That's what you guys are yelling at me for. You never did the back of the feet. I think those are claws in the back of the feet, by the way. But we did them green just to kind of. There we go. He's looking pretty basic. I have to do some stuff on this side, so let's do that really quick. Now this stippling only works because I have the dark green underneath. If you didn't have that dark green, it would kind of look a little weird. Alright. I'm going to go back under here and do some of these fingers and the palm of the hand. Now, one of the tricks that you can do is you can actually go through and thin out some of this green paint. So I'm gonna show you what you can do if you think it's too stark of a dark color and you want to highlight it. And what we do is we thin it out. We're gonna take our paper towel And we're going to just touch the paper towel until we get back to a point. Look at how much moisture comes out there, like a coffee filter. And then you can just paint on top of that muscle, but it's going to be very thin. And when it dries, it'll offer some highlight, but it's not going to offer a lot of highlight. It's not going to be as bright as what you've been doing. So it'll still be nice and dark. So we'll let that dry a little bit, and I could do the same thing out over here. I don't kind of want to though. I want to get this hand here. So it looks like this is a thumb right here. This is his palm of his hand. And then it looks like this is a finger right here. This is a finger. And this is a finger. And so we have something that kind of resembles that. Pull this down, pull this down. All right. All right. Not too bad. Look at how that metal is shining under the light. So now what you want to do is you just kind of want to figure out where's a good angle. Do you think this angle is a good angle? You think this angle, right? And this is what you kind of want to do to highlight. We're going to use that bright silver, but I'm going to mix it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this silver, put it in the middle, 2 shots of this, and 1 shot of the bright silver. And I'm going to mix that up. It's going to offer a little bit of a highlight. That might have been a little too little. Right? So it's a 2-to-1. It's lighter than my black. And what I want to do, and this is only for the plate at the moment, I'm just going to kind of paint where I see light, like right on the top of the breast here. But I don't want to go to the edge. Like I don't want to do the rim. The rim is going to get something else. So I want to stay away from the rim, but I do want to get most of that flat area. So like right here. And all this is going to do, there shouldn't be much of a difference, but it will shine brighter when you see it. So like for example, let's see. Okay. I'm just refreshing my bright silver. So like if I do over here, you're not going to see too much of a difference until it shines, and it should shine brighter after a while because you have some bright steel in there. Right? So there's not much of a difference except for when it goes into the light. When it goes into the light, it'll look a little bit brighter. So I'm going to do it on these plates right here, on these knee pads. And again, you can use your light to figure out what to actually paint. But if you constantly move your miniature, your light's going to change with it. So I just try to get a couple areas so that when you're looking at it from different angles, you start to get a brighter side to it. Using the tip of the brush, I'm just hitting the edges of these plates on his shoulder. And then I'll do the same on his head. So like right here, this flat where his horns are, or his eyepiece are, maybe down here by his cheeks. There we go. That way people know he's wearing some dark armor. And then when the scales, we'll make those a little bit brighter. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this brown. And I'm going to take some of this ivory. And the reason is because the ivory is a little bit warmer than white. And I'm going to just mix those together. And I'm going to get a little bit more of this brown. So it's like a 1-to-1 mixture with the ivory and the brown. And that's what color I'm going to do these pants. So I'm just going to go around very carefully. Now this might be a thin paint, so I may need another coat. So we'll see how that works. But I'm going to do some nice light pants, but they're kind of a muted light brown, which is good because I want the green to be more vibrant than anything else. I'm not really worried about... So some of this might be flash, some of it might be detail. I'm not too worried yet with it. I'll figure out where all this stuff goes after. But for right now, we just want to get the pants done so we can see other pieces. I usually do this. I usually paint different parts of the miniature so that I can see what I'm actually painting. Plus, it gives me a chance to actually wait for the green to dry so that I can go to the next color. So it's just a bunch of stuff hanging off his armor, so we'll figure out what to do that stuff after. Could be metal plates, could be papers, could be glass. Why would a Dragonborn have glass? I don't know, maybe he does. Also, if I do this light, if it's too light, I can darken it down. I could also use a wash to bring it down. But for now, we're just trying to, whoops, get that off of there. Right now, we're just trying to get this to be a little more. I think the gray pants with the gray metallic is too much of a closeness, and you don't get to see the separation. So that's what we're doing here. We're just trying to get it separated out. And I'm just using the tip of the brush to stab, move things around. I want to be very controlled here and slow because this is more inside a lot of the detail of the miniature, and it's not, even though that it's cloth and there's, it's over the skin tone, it's still sort of hard to reach places. And so if I do it now, I won't have to worry about hitting it down the road. Again, we haven't painted any of the belts or straps, so if you did all of the pants, including the straps, then that's fine. might need another coat. It looks like I might need another coat. But that's alright. We can do that. I just want to get some color on there. Alright. Let's go back, and I'm going to take some of this green that we were using, and I'm going to mix in some of this yellow green. So I'm going to do 2 shots of the yellow green with 1 shot of the green. So that would sort of be 3 greens to 2 yellows if you're going at home. It's not going to be a big subtle change, but it is a little bit lighter than what we have. I'm going to add water to this to mix it all up, but more importantly, I want it to be a little bit thinner so that when I touch the paper towel draws a lot of that moisture out. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to put this off to the side so you're not seeing white on your screen. I'm going to take some of this nice thin mixture. Doesn't have to be too thin, but it has to be kind of watery. When you touch the paper towel will soak it. And I'm going to start doing anything that's up on top. Again, I'm going to do these scales. I'm going to try to stay in the middle, but if it flows to the edge, that's totally fine. And I'm going to start dotting and stippling again. But I don't want to go all over the place, so I just want to hit some high spots here. And it doesn't even have to match your other stippling. This is how you get the 3D effect. There's some that are lighter than others. There's some that are medium tone. Grab some of this. And I'm just going to hit that top of the nose here. Leave the sides the way they are. Maybe the bottom of the eyes, because that seems to see more of the skin tone. Top of the jaw. So when you're doing this, you gotta have that medium green left in there so everything looks. So when I do the scales, this is a prime example. When I do the scales, now I'm just gonna dot like the bottom half of it. I'm gonna leave some of that, like where the point is, I'm gonna leave some of that mid green. And when this dries, it'll just kind of be nicely blended together. So you're just hitting those bottom parts of the scales. You don't want to do all of the scales. Maybe you just do like these tips right here. You know, you're just stabbing at them. Just stab at them. These I'm only going to hit the vine with. Or, not the vine, the vein. My gosh, what was that? Oops. So there's a vein. Alright, let's try this. There we go. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. Again, if it's too watery, you're not getting enough moisture out. If it goes on in, you just want it to go on top of whatever you're painting. So if it seems like it's going in recesses, it's too watery. You gotta put it on the paper towel for longer. It'll eventually come back to a point. If it's too watery, your bristles won't be there. And then when you put it on the paper towel, your point comes back. And that's how you know you're ready to paint on these higher edges. There's no edges there, but so it's starting to take on the yellower tone. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to stipple on the top of the foot like I did before, but I'm not going to stipple on the sides. I'm going to leave the sides being the medium, and I just want to go on the top. And you don't have to stipple, you could just do like sort of a jagged line. There's all kinds of ways that you can make this look textured. I mean, you could just kind of dot. You can just kind of do it like the scales, right? Just stab at it. The trick here is only the top of the foot. Leave the... Yeah. I mean, I guess you could go back here where this upper foot is, but I wouldn't do any more than that. That's going to get a different color anyway. Alright. Where this is going to be, where you're going to see this is probably, well, you might not see it right now because it's not. So here, when I stipple, I want to just really be kind of where I can hit it. On the outside, keeping a lot of that other texture in there. So here on the outside, anything that you can see. Notice I'm not going underneath now. We already did underneath. If I'm going to do the smooth areas, I'm just going to kind of hit certain spots. So I'm just going to hit points. Maybe I just hit over here. And we'll just hit on this edge. I'm just poking. I'm just stippling. Anything I can see. I'm not trying to go overboard here. I'm going to go back to my medium green for a second. I think I have scales that I need to do down here. So I'm just going to do these with the medium green. Okay. Give it a once look over. See if there's anything you need to do. Did some of the eye, we did the chin. Not looking that bad, not looking that bad. And so the next thing you're going to do, you're going to do the same thing that we just got done doing. We're going to start getting that more of a yellowish green in there. So when you do the yellow green, all you're really doing, this is pretty thin by the way. So all you're doing is you're going to kind of hit, and this is going to be a little bit more of a brighter color, so you want to be very, very careful, right? Since it's already in the other green that you did, you can just kind of hit the middle here. Now, if you think that's too stark of a contrast, you can always go back and add some of this to the other green you did. So for example, if I wanted to, I could take this and take this green that I used, bring it back down to more of a mid-tone, and if you rather do that, you can hit the nose with that color. You can hit the palm with that color. And so you can control your highlights here however you want to. Right? But we're going to stick with the yellow-green because eventually I'm going to glaze this back over with my transparent green. So I'm just going to take this color, and again, I'm just going to hit these dots here. And I feel like these scales are where you're going to see a lot of magic happen. Let's see, can you see that? I can't see. It's not really popping on your screen as it is on my screen, but then again, the camera probably doesn't recognize some of the highlights. But maybe you're seeing it on your end if you're using the same colors or some comparable colors. Again, it's just a matter of poking and getting some highlight. You don't want to kill all of the green that you use, but you certainly want to make it a little more noticeable. Alright, grab some of this. And what I want to do is inside where his ears are, I'm actually going to paint this lighter color in here. So I'm going to try to keep the dark veins. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I might have to paint. I think I have to paint over the vein because I messed that one up. That's alright though. This is what you want to see. You want to watch somebody mess up so you know how to fix it. So that's just one of his ears. We're going to try it on this one. See if we can keep the darkness of the fins in there. So I may have to go back over that. But that's kind of the effect I'm looking for. And sometimes you just have to paint the whole thing yellow-green and go back over it with the medium green just to get the effect you're looking for. On these guys here, I'm just going to do kind of the edge here. So I'm just going to stay towards the top. I'm going to leave some of the bottom, this dark green, but just hit the tops of these. Same thing here. Taking this, I'm going to just kind of hit the front of the mouth. Again, this is that bright yellow green that I have. Stab at the eyes, the bottom of the eyes. Kind of stab in a line around the chest area. Hopefully it's looking a little bit more scalier. And then we just stipple around the rest. This one here, you're not going to stipple all over. You're just going to kind of pick out some spots. You want this to be kind of separated a little bit. Because that's what makes the scales. So this is what people are going to see. So you don't have to. I mean, if you want to, you can go through the painstaking of painting in scales and highlighting them so they all look like they're scales on the miniature. But trust, this is just a monster or a character in your D&D. Doesn't matter too much. I mean, if he's a competition piece, you're definitely going to want to be very controlled and paint some of those scales in there. And I'm just going to kind of paint the knuckles here. Just get a couple spots there so it looks... So when you look at it from one angle, you can see the yellow. Same thing on the toes. This time I'm not going to go as far on the toes, so the first thing I'm going to do is kind of hit the edge where the talons will be. You want those to be a little bit brighter. And then I'm just going to kind of stay towards the middle of the foot. Like right about here. And the same thing down here. Stay in the middle of the foot. And then edging the toes. Alright. Whew. A lot of work. Never thought that a green dragon would be so much work. See, make sure that you're very controlled here. You want these to be super small. Because you want scales, you don't want it to be like polka dots. So they shouldn't even be in any kind of pattern. Unless you're painting in scales, then you have to worry about that. Alright. Alright, I gotta fix these ear fins, so give me one sec. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use some medium green and some dark green. Mix those guys together. And that's what I'm going to use to make these fins, these veins on these fins. I'm just going to kind of... Too much. Those are not, it's not dry yet. I have to wait. Alright. All right, ready for the next piece? So I'm going to use ivory, and I'm going to take some of my yellow green that I have, mix it into there, and nice bright green. So I'm going to do 2 shots of that yellow green and some ivory, and I'm going to get some water. So I'm going to get some clean water, really thin this down. Okay. Take some of this, and like I did before, I'm going to touch the paper towels to get rid of some of the moisture. And I'm just going to brighten up some of the knuckles. And I'm going to brighten up some of the middle pieces here. So this is just kind of like a little dot. And there's a reason I'm doing this. It's because we're going to go into a glaze. And I kind of want anything that's a little tougher, like these scales here, I want them to have a little bit more of a shine value to them. So I'm just poking, trying to stay on the points as much as possible. And this is how you get a different look with using the same colors. So if you have a limited palette or you only have so much paint, there's different things that you can do to make it look different with the same paint. So I have those scales right there. Get this to be a little bit lighter, this to be a little bit lighter, this. I'm going to do a little bit on his chest. And this is really controlled. Like, I'm not going all over the place with this. I'm just doing some little areas here. Get it on the nose. And just under the eye. Right in the front of the jaw. Not all the way around the jaw. Just right in the front. Right on the top here. And then the last piece is I'm just going to dot all of these up here. Oops, too much of a dot. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Did not use the paper towel. That's why it's all coming out wrong. I'm like, why am I making these big dots? Alright. We'll see if we can fix that, but I'm trying to get just trying to get these to be a bit brighter. Only at the points here. And then I'm also going to try to get these fins in here a little bit brighter so that I can make them a little bit darker. See, if you have something lighter, then you can make something look darker. And I'm going to stay more towards the inner part of these than the outer part. last thing I'm going to do is get the tops of these toes. And if you want, you could dot, but I wouldn't do too much of the dotting here. Alright, so there's kind of where he's at the moment. Not looking like a lot, but that's where he is. Notice that down here we have this nice and dark and green. I could do just a tad bit. There you go. Could do some there. But once this dries, that green still comes through. So I'm going to try to get my little dark green back here. So give me 1 second while I do this. It didn't work the way I thought it would. I worked on that side a little bit more. Alright, I'm just gonna have to wait on that. Alright. Now I know what you're saying. He looks pretty yellow, he looks really bright, but trust me, when I start getting the glaze in him, it's gonna start softening all that stuff down and it's gonna make him all green again. So we have to wait on that for a second, but there's where he is so far. So what I want to do right now is I want to add a little bit more light silver to our medium silver that we made here. So let's just add 2 more light silvers to that. We want to get that nice and bright. And I'm going to go in the back here with the tip, and I'm going to start painting in these scales. So this is going to take a little bit of time, and you're going to want to be nice and controlled. Hold the miniature in a way that you can just paint squares or diamonds. Try not to get in the recesses because we really need that to sell the separation of these scales. So what you want to do is you want to do as much of the diamonds here as possible. And then what we'll do is we'll work on getting the top of the diamond a little bit brighter. But for right now, I want this color so that the only dark thing is in between these scales. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm only using the tip of that brush. You don't want to jam the brush in there because then it's not going to do what you want it to do. Oh no, that's Pretzel Rocks. I thought somebody was saying something to me. Everybody's probably just painting along. I was gonna feel bad if I was missing some chat stuff. So again, I'm just getting a lot of those scales, and see, I'm starting to see things that I missed, like right here I missed. Okay. Now, because we used the dark silver, if you don't want to do like underneath the shield, if you don't want to do in here, you don't have to. You could say, oh, that's in shadow. It's still got the dark silver in there, so you did paint it. And sometimes you need to have some darkness to show off the light side. That's what makes 3D. Remember, you're enhancing the 3D effectiveness of the miniature. And it's what sells the 3D, so your model doesn't look very flat. You want it to come alive. So if you can show enough dark and light, it comes alive. So the only reason why you get to see the green Dragonborn here is because we have all the dark we started with, which is right there, right? And we just kind of kept adding medium green to a yellowish green. That yellowish green is what makes it come alive. So like when you're looking at it like this, you know, there's some high points and some dark points. If you're looking at it like this, there's some high points and dark points. I'm going to take this same color, and I'm just going to, like we did with his arm here, I'm just going to kind of start hitting towards the center of these plate pieces. I'm not really going to go to the edges with them, but I want to show like the middle of the plate is shiny. Same thing up here. Stay away from that rim though. And I'm just doing the tops here. Something that looks like that. And we'll do some of the knee pads here. I'm just going to probably do these knee pads with this bright silver. And maybe the bottoms. I might do the bottom. So let's see. Using my tip, I'm just going to do like the bottom here and the bottom here. And maybe on this one it's the top, right? Because the leg is in a different position. So that just kind of sells more of the shine to it. And then here, if you want, you can do the top of the shield. And then figure out which part of the shield you want to have highlighted here. I'm just hitting spots. And this one, I'm going to hit this edge of the blade here. And I'm going to go to the side, keeping this area a little bit darker so it kind of looks like I want to sell that 3D effect. And I probably am not going to do anything with the bottom of the blade. I'm going to leave it nice and dark because I can work with this. Oh, I know what we forgot to do. We forgot to do around his eyes here. All right. Let's do a couple things here to get ready for next week. I'm going to take some of this black. We haven't used the black yet. We're going to take this black and we're going to do all these talons. So I'm just going to get a quick shot of black here. Don't get any on the green if you can help it. Just get it right there on these little claws. And then we're also going to do the back here. So we're just going to make this a back claw. And the same thing back here. Okay. That gets us that part of it. I think, where was the other part that I wanted to have black? The other part that I kind of wanted black is just above the green green jaw. That is where all these teeth reside. So we're gonna get those to be a little bit on the. We're gonna do that black. We're also gonna, because I think we did them green, the dark green. So I want the mouth to be black, is what I'm trying to say. So let's get the mouth to be black. And you're only doing where the teeth are. You're not doing the whole entire mouth black. You're only doing where the teeth are. So it's just above the bottom lip and upper jaw. Looks like we have some stuff up here. So we'll get that in there. That's going to help us sell the teeth a little bit more. Okay. And we're going to take some of this brown. And we're going to mix in a little bit of this black. Make a nice darker brown. Add a little bit of the red. And we're going to do the handle of the blade. So with the tip, just do the handle of the blade. Just be careful you don't get any on the green skin. And we'll see if I can get at this online. I'm going to try to keep it on camera. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Let's see. Okay. There we go. Add a little bit more black to this. And we're going to go right into the belts. So the reason I added red is because it changes the color of the brown that I want. I could have asked for a dark brown, but I'm trying to limit to 10 colors. So if you know how to mix colors, that's great. If you have a dark brown and you want to use a dark brown, go right ahead. And just trying to do a belt down here. So the reason I mix the colors is because that brown, there's brown not only in that belt, but there's brown in the pants. And if I want to darken up the pants, I can do it with this brown. But more importantly, these straps will kind of, it won't be such an eyesore. Sometimes you get those browns that they just don't look right. And if I thin this down, I can use it to wash or shade these pants. But these pants are going to need another coat, I think. Alright. So last thing I want to do with you guys, I mean, I'm going to obviously do, I'll probably get to, I'll probably clean up a little bit and I'll do a second coat on these pants off stream. But what I want to do is get to the clear green that we were playing with. So I'm just looking around. There's one thing I have to do really quick. I have to get this medium green. I have to get the veins on here. So let me just quickly get those veins in. Alright. Whatever I did not come out the way I was thinking of. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some clear green. This one is Reaper Clear Green. Transparent green from Monument Hobbies is darker. So I probably wouldn't go that way. Citadel makes a clear green. This one is a little bit lighter than the Monument Hobby one, but not as light as the Reaper. And the reason that I'm using this is because it does kind of match up with my original green, and that's what you want. Since this is my original green that I did, I want something that's going to match that. Now, if you want a darker skin tone, you could do the darker transparent green. And if you want a, you know, if you want a yellowy green, then you can obviously add yellow to the clear. But in order to use this, this is going to come out pretty thick. It's going to look like paint. And if you kind of wiggle it around, it is super thin and it will go on clear. What we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of water to that, because I want it to be nice and liquidy. Okay. You're going to touch your paper towel, get it back to a point, and then you're just going to kind of glaze over. So it's almost like a wash, but it's not really a wash. You're glazing over and you're actually painting with this clear paint. And this clear green is going to soften all of those highlights, and it's going to also bring in all of those dark colors together so that it's going to look like it's been nicely blended together. So we're going to get some water in there. Going to touch the paper towel, get rid of some of that moisture, and I'm going to paint over. And the reason I did this last is because you have to wait for this to dry before you could do anything else. So this is a great stopping point that we're going to be working on, or that we're going to do. And this is going to dry. I probably won't touch this. I'm going to let this dry for an hour to make sure that all of that stuff is, dry. But this is, you want to push the brightness this isn't a wash. You're not really trying to wash. See how it's going in the recesses? I don't want it to do that. I mean, I do want it to go into recesses, but I'm not looking to wash this. I'm just trying to paint over all of these highlights. Okay. Just trying to thin this out a little bit. Touching the paper towel to get rid of as much moisture as I can, because I don't want it going into areas that it shouldn't be going in. So like here, I certainly don't want it to go into the silver, so that's what's going to happen with the washes when you do it. It's going to go anywhere it sees a recess. And so we don't want it to go in the mouth. We don't want it to go... We certainly don't want it to go in the scales. And you do want to get underneath, because that is some of the skin, and it's going to look weird if you don't do that. It's not... This clear paint isn't going to change the light and dark of where you paint it. It just kind of brings everything into a similar color. And your brights are still going to be there, but they're not going to be as yellowy. They're not going to be as... I guess the question I'm trying to, or I guess the statement I'm trying to make is that it really does expedite the blending part of it. See? Like, you don't even see those high points anymore, but they're there. The camera's just not picking them up. It kind of erases them out, but you can start to see where it's dark, where it's light, where those you know, like you still see the highlight of the scales. Well, there we go. So we're on our way to painting this guy. We'll do a little bit more stuff with him. So again, off stream, I'll go ahead and I'll start painting these pants with a second color, or excuse me, second coat, and we'll come back to him next Thursday. And the video of this will be on Twitch for at least a week. So if you didn't catch something here, you don't have your models yet, and you were just kind of watching, you can totally watch the stream again and paint along. So next Thursday, we'll start working on the red trim. We'll start highlighting a little bit more of the metallic. We'll start getting the red trim on here. And we'll start working some other stuff. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this rocky base. I really kind of just... I'm thinking because it's a green Dragonborn, I might go Adobe, which is adding some ivory and reds together and creating salmon color. So that's where we're going to head. I'm not going to touch him other than redoing some of the pants here so that it looks, so you don't see some of this gray primer, because I think the paint was a little too thin to start. But we'll do some more with him and see what we can, where we can get him. So this is our February Dragonborn. If you're looking ahead to March, March is a Dark Elf Priestess from Reaper. I don't remember offhand what her number was. Let me see if I have it. I don't have her number. I don't have her number, but just look up Dark Elf Priestess and you'll see it's got the skull here. It's got the mace. So we're going to be working in her in March. So, and I'll get a color palette up for her. So anyway, I want to turn that off, and I want to come out here, and I want to say thank you to everybody that came out today, and hopefully you were painting along with me. Um, and if you were not, then I hope that you know we get that you come back on Thursday to paint some more, and I hope to see all of your nice paint jobs in my Discord at some point. So thank you so much for stopping in. I think what I'm gonna do is not raid anybody tonight, but I'm gonna tell you who's out there if you are looking for someone to join in. I just have to. I know I'm so bad. I should be raiding people in, but it's a paint along. We're just painting along here. All right, we got Miniac is out there, Mini Ruckus, Critical Role. If you're not following Critical Role, you can go find out. They're live on Twitch right now. We've got Sleep Tea is a great streamer. You'll love Sleep Tea, so don't if you want to go see another miniature painter. JP Got Rockets is in the house. Not in the house, but he's streaming. He's doing some Warhammer. I might go say hi to him. Parko the Viking is in doing some artwork, and it looks like all of your miniature and art painters out there. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for stopping in. We'll see you on Tuesday at 9 p.m. and we're going to be working on something. I think it might be a little bit more the conquest, or maybe we'll be working more on our Tiefling Rogue, or maybe it'll be something new. You're not going to know until you come in and check us out. And then we'll come back to Mr. Dragonborn Fighter next Thursday. So have a great night, everybody, and keep painting.